My name is Larissa, and we're going to practice together for about 15 minutes. It's an opportunity to slow down, spend a little time with yourself. And as we're getting situated, just taking a few moments to check in with your body, making some neck rolls, wrist rolls, adjust your cushion, whatever it is that you need to find that balance of effort and ease. So a lot of times we're efforting throughout the day. There's responsibilities, there's things we have to do, there's work that we need to get to, whether that's the work of making yourself a cup of coffee or many other responsibilities. So it's really important that we also look for that balance of ease, those moments of rest. And some days it feels harder than others, but right now we have this opportunity to really settle into the rest part. Just allowing your body to settle, to feel supported. And a lot of our practice is inviting our mind to rest, even just in moments, a half a second. We're not trying to make our mind stop. And there's one of the sutras, it's the second one. It says, essentially, we are working with the cessation of the fluctuation of the mind. And sometimes that gets translated as stopping the mind. But what we're working on is watching the fluctuation of the mind. And eventually, those wild fluctuations start to settle as we observe them rather than getting caught up in every single thought. So, just a reminder of the major part of our practice. It's just this invitation to slow down and remembering to not with forcefulness. It's an invitation. And just one of the simple things that we do is close our eyes or set your gaze down on something that isn't moving, something steady. And that one simple action often invites us to slow a bit. Of course, if you're driving and you're getting ready and listening, it's taking a slightly different orientation. But no matter what it is that you're doing, whether you're sitting still with eyes closed or you're getting kids off to school, we can still find some slowness. And very often the world is rushed. There's endless scrolling, there's endless new information to be taken in. This is an opportunity to just slow down with yourself. What does it feel like to take a big, deep, full breath? And then watch yourself allow the slowest exhale possible. Just noticing every single rib soften as you breathe out. And in this slowing, we're creating an opportunity for spaciousness, space between thoughts, space between responsibilities. Yeah. There's new studies that almost seem silly that we have to study this, but this show us that standing up between a Zoom call or between meetings and taking 3 deep breaths or doing 10 jumping jacks is really good for our nervous system. It's really good for refreshing blood flow. It's good for new mental opportunities, new capacity in our mind. And again, it almost seems silly that we need to study this because our body innately knows how to do those things. Sometimes we forget because we get busy in our mind. So this invitation to just watch your breath gives your mind permission to slow down a bit. Just being deeply curious about the sensation of air coming across your top upper lip and hitting your nostrils. Just noticing the spaciousness in your abdomen and your thoracic container as you breathe in. You might even pause at the very top of your inhale, noticing and appreciating that spaciousness. And then a slow, steady exhale, just this invitation to watch your body soften and soften and soften. And then begin again, just a brand new breath with this opportunity to simply observe and appreciate your body breathing for you. So nothing you need to do, just be breathed. Just watching breath, spacious and expansive. It's soft and releasing. It's receiving on your inhale and giving back everything that you don't need on the exhale. There's also a receiving and an offering every single time we exhale. Just receiving this gift of life on the inhale, giving back with gentleness, without clinging, without trying to hang on to every oxygen particle. Our body is abundant. We receive a gift on the inhale, and we give one back on the exhale. I'll share here a little story, a teaching from the Lonakapala Sutta. This is a very famous story translated in so many different ways, but essentially it is this idea of creating spaciousness. And there is a group of students that go to their teacher, and they're asking their teacher, what to do with suffering. And what he shares is this. So if you take a tablespoon of salt and you put it in a coffee mug and you drink that water, you're going to taste a lot of salt. It will be bitter and difficult to swallow that water. It might even cause you harm if you continue drinking that kind of water. But if you take that same cup of water with a tablespoon of salt and you pour it in a bucket of water, suddenly it's a little less bitter. Maybe not palatable yet. And then if you take that same bucket and you dump it in a freshwater lake, and then you scoop out a cup of water, all of a sudden the taste of the salt is gone. And there's just fresh water. And the teaching in that is that we take our suffering, we take the salt, and instead of trying to push it away or get rid of it, we just expand the container. And the suffering, the bitterness, the difficulty becomes supported, becomes palatable. It even can become nourishing. So as we work with this expansiveness on the inhale, noticing how much space we can create in our physical body. And then we watch as our body softens and gives back a gift. That is really the practice of Tonglen. Tonglen is giving and receiving. And sometimes it feels counterintuitive, but what we're practicing is receiving difficulty and pain, holding it, creating an open space for it, rather than trying to push away pain, pretend it's not there, cover it up, try to seek happiness. So we're creating spaciousness for everything that comes. And we expand the container when we share our difficulties. We expand the container when we say to ourselves, it's okay that I'm having a hard time. I'm going to sit with this, listen to what my body is telling me, rather than trying to fix it. So I invite you just to take a couple of moments. And as you breathe in, just imagining that you're creating a giant spacious container to hold whatever comes. Perhaps even imagining a bubble of energy around you, expanding, expanding, expanding. And then as you exhale, just offering back your goodness, trusting as your body gives back, and then receiving again, perhaps even inviting in some difficulty in your life or some difficulty of a loved one. So I have space for this. I have the capacity to hold this tenderly. And when I breathe out, there's a titration. I'm allowing myself to soften, offering the world my goodness. And then breathing in again, creating a vast container for whatever comes. Watching as your body softens and gives back. I'll invite you to bring your hands into any of your closing habits or practices. Just taking a moment to thank yourself for creating space. It's not always easy to sit with difficulty, but it's such an important part of our practice, just allowing our full humanness to exist. We'll end with a few loving kindness phrases, repeating them back as they make sense for you. May I create spaciousness today in my body. May I invite spaciousness between thoughts. Where possible, may I invite spaciousness in my schedule? May I pause and appreciate my body softening when action is needed? May I choose to move with ease and peace? Going slow, just taking your time whenever you feel complete, finding movement, taking a moment to thank yourself for showing up.